What is up, my friends? Welcome back to the Jameson Brandon channel, where we talk about all things money. Today, we're going to talk about the SDR currency. Yes, the standard drawing rights currency launched by the IMF back in 1969. We're going to circle back around to that and talk about some interesting things. As I'm sure you've noticed on the channel, there are these baskets of narratives that are very, very interesting. And it seems like things are not only speeding up, a lot more things are starting to come together with the global reset narrative, with the cyber polygon simulations, with the push towards digital currencies, central bank digital currencies. There's a lot of big moving pieces that I've been trying to outline in these videos. So let's take that a step further. We've obviously got the Facebook DM coin, Carpe Diem, seize the day. This is supposed to be based on a basket of currencies, weighted basket of international currencies, even though it'll be pegged to the US dollar. So this fits the narrative of not only Trump, but also Biden, which is that they want to have, I think every president wants this, but they want to have a strong US dollar. Trump came out recently and said that Bitcoin is a scam.
Bitcoin, it just seems like a scam. I was surprised.
And that, basically long live the US dollar, and that would totally make sense. He's an American first kind of guy, and he wants the country to thrive. And in that, you have to be willing to say other things aren't as good as your product because, you want your product to survive. And his product is the US dollar. It is the US itself. It would make sense that, a product like this that's looking to get widespread adoption would say, hey, we're going to peg it to the US dollar, but it's going to be based on a weighted basket of international currencies. If this sounds familiar, it's because it is. The SDR is actually a weighted basket of the US dollar, the euro. The Chinese renminbi was actually added in 2016, I believe, the Japanese yen, and the British pound sterling. So this is also a basket of currencies that's been around for a lot longer. You open up the Sunday paper, you will see the SDR being traded and what it's currently worth in that paper. Here's what's curious about it. Is the SDR was initially defined as equivalent to 0.88 grams of fine gold. I don't know what it's worth now. It's obviously dwindled from that because they just had a $650 billion print, essentially, a couple months back. I believe I mentioned this, but it doesn't really matter what it's worth now. It's clearly not pegged the same to gold. But I think what's interesting is one of the biggest changes in Basel III coming hopefully at the end of this month, 11 years now in the making, is changes, more restrictions and more safety measures for banks, because they're able to fractionalize too many things. The dollars, the gold, the silver, the metals, everything they're able to fractionalize, which is how they hold down the metals markets, while simultaneously able to make these hold collateral and uncollateral positions for you and themselves. So those are all some of the bigger changes that are supposed to be happening. At the end of this month, it's supposed to finally be approved, which I believe the changes will happen in 2023. I'll look for a video highlighting that specifically from me very, very soon. But let's get back to this. I think this is interesting that this really fits a lot of what they're looking to roll out. It's like the two big players I'm looking at now is a digital SDR, which, by the way, they've been talking about since 2017. Look at this, October 5th, 2017, right as we're in the middle of the bubble popping. Bitcoin was on its way to $19,000 at this point. What's the headline? Forget Bitcoin, have you heard of the IMF coin? So they've been dropping this narrative and seeding this for a very, very long time. Before this, there was all kinds of articles and research papers going back into early 2000s, 2010 through 2012 is another big period that I've brought up in research on this channel before as well. This is nothing new, I guess is my point, all right? Let's talk about this issuance really quick. It started off being possibly 500 billion, meaning that they're going to print more money, print more SDR, create more SDR out of thin air. And this was going to get approved at the G7 meeting. This was talked about back in February. Then here we are in March. What ended up happening is the IMF released, it basically made, 650 billion SDR issuance. It was all fit under this narrative of helping countries that were hit hardest with COVID. And I have no clue how this money was dispersed. This is March. Have we heard a follow-up? I couldn't find any other articles talking about hey, how specifically was this released? To which countries and how much? Was not talked about. But what's interesting is that this is the second largest issuance. Actually, it's the largest issuance going back to when it was actually first made. What is this? This is 161 billion SDR in 2009, the financial crisis, 650 billion. So the largest issuance, and this mostly went under the radar. This mostly was not on the news. This was not really talked about at all. And so I think it's interesting, there's two people pushing. There's the Facebook DM coin, which who knows what kind of politicians are actually behind that, and who knows what money is actually behind that. But Facebook is big tech. And we've got the SDR basket getting pushed out, with both having the US dollar to fit that narrative involved in it in some sort of way. And I'm sure the Chinese yuan as well will be involved in that. It is in the SDR, and I'm sure it will be in the Facebook as well. So that could get really, really interesting. So I just wanted to drop this and seed this in your mind here, is that we've got some big things coming up. The Cyber Polygon event, I think, is live now or finished by now. And by the time you're watching this video, it should be over with. At the end of this month, we've got the Basel III and what changes might be happening there. We might see a big shift in the price of gold and silver. I'm not really sure. But if things do go back to where they kind of should go, then we should see a huge pump in gold and silver. We'll talk about that in its own dedicated video. And then we've got this, like, what's going to emerge as the, kind of global digital currency, if there's going to be one, or is there just going to be a lot of different options, like the Facebook DM and the SDR. So anyways, if you like this video, go ahead and click the thumbs up, comment below if you got something to say. If you're brand new to the channel and you like this sort of thing, just take a second, click the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and be on the lookout, more videos dropping soon. See ya.